Magandang araw! Sama-sama tayong matuto sa Teacher Sal Learning Resource Channel. Revised K-12 Curriculum, Math 3, Quarter 3, Week 2, Number and Algebra. For Day 1, read and interpret data presented in a single bar graph. Give the importance of knowing the scale in reading and interpreting data in a bar graph. What kind of bar graph is shown on the board? The graph shown is a bar graph. What is the graph about? The graph is about the favorite subjects of grade 3 EPIL learners. How do you know what the graph is about? It is written in the title of the graph. The title tells us what the graph is about. The title of the graph is Favorite Subjects of Grade 3 EPIL. The title is a part of a graph that tells what the graph is about. Name the other parts of the bar graph and describe each part. Horizontal axis. The horizontal axis is the line that goes from left to right. It shows the categories we are comparing in the graph. Horizontal label. The horizontal label refers to the words or names listed along the horizontal axis. It tells us what categories are being compared in the graph. In this graph, the horizontal label is subjects, which refers to the categories Math, Science, English, Filipino, and Makabansa. Vertical axis. The vertical axis is the line that goes up and down. It shows the values or numbers for each category in the graph. Vertical label. The vertical label is the word or phrases written along the vertical axis. It tells us what the numbers mean. In this graph, the vertical label is number of learners. Scale. The scale is the set of numbers along the vertical axis. These numbers help us understand the height of each bar and how many learners each bar represents. In this graph, the scale goes from 1 to 11. Bars. The bars in the graph show the data. The height of each bar tells us how many learners chose each subject. Our lesson purpose is to read and interpret data presented in a single bar graph and give the importance of knowing the scale in reading and interpreting data in a bar graph. What is the difference between one number and the next number along the vertical axis? The difference is 1. As you read the numbers going up the vertical axis, the numbers increase by 1. This means the scale is counting by ones. If one line shows 1, the next line shows 2, then 3, and so on. What is the graph about? The graph is about the favorite colors of grade 3 EPIL. Read the numbers along the vertical axis. What can you say about the scale? Now, look closely at the scales of the two bar graphs. In the graph on favorite subjects, the scale counts by ones, while in the graph on favorite colors, the scale counts by twos. The number we skip when counting, the difference between one number and the next, is called the interval. So the interval in the first bar graph is 1, because the numbers increase by 1, while the interval in the second graph is 2, because the numbers increase by 2 each time. Look at the bars of the graph on favorite colors. What can you say about the heights of the bars? The heights of the bars are different. What does the height of a bar show? It shows how many learners like that color. How do you know the number? We compare the top of the bar with the numbers on the vertical axis. How many like red? 12 learners like red. How do you know it is 12? The top of the bar aligns with the number 12 on the vertical axis. Which color is the favorite of most learners? What made you say so? Blue is the favorite color of most learners because it has the tallest bar. How many learners chose blue? 14 learners chose blue. Which color is the least favorite of the learners? What made you say so? Yellow is the least favorite color of the learners because it has the shortest bar. How many learners chose yellow? 7 learners chose yellow. How do you know it's 7? The top of the bar is between 6 and 8 on the vertical axis. The number between 6 and 8 is 7. What is the graph about? It is about the kinds of pets of grade 3 learners. Look at the vertical axis. Read the numbers. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. What can you say about the numbers? The numbers are counting by fives. The interval of this graph is 5, which means each number increases by 5. How many learners have dogs? 30 learners have dogs. How do you know that it is 30? The top of the bar aligns with 30 on the vertical axis. How many learners have cats? 25 learners have cat. What can you say about the number of learners who have chickens and fish? The number of learners who has chickens and fish is the same. How do you know? The bars representing these pets are of the same height. How many learners have chicken or fish for their pets? 20 learners have fish and 20 learners have chicken for their pets. The tops of the bars for both chicken and fish align with the number 20 on the vertical axis. What should you do to tell which category has the greatest or least number? Look at the height of the bar. The tallest bar shows the greatest number, while the shortest bar shows the least number. What should you do to know the exact number for each category? Find the number on the scale that aligns with the top of the bar. This number tells you how many objects or people belong to this category. Why is it important to know the scale in the graph? The scale helps you read the graph correctly. It shows the exact number of objects in each category, and without the scale, you won't know what the height of each bar means. Do all graphs use the same scale? No, different graphs can have different scales. Always check the scale first when reading a bar graph. It helps you understand the data correctly. Study the graph. Favorite fruits of grade 3 learners. What are the favorite fruits of the grade 3 learners? What is the favorite fruit of the greatest number of learners? What is the favorite fruit of the least number of learners? What fruits are favorites of the same number of learners? Here are the expected answers. For day 2, construct bar graphs using different skills and apply the rules in constructing a bar graph. Look at the following bar graphs. First bar graph. Second. Third. What does each bar graph show? The first bar graph is about the favorite subjects of grade 3 IPIL-IPIL learners. The second bar graph is about the favorite colors of grade 3 IPIL-IPIL learners. The third bar graph is about the pets of grade 3 learners. What can you say about the scales and intervals in the graphs? The graphs use different scales and intervals. What is the interval of the scale in the second graph? The interval of the scale in the second graph is 2. What is the interval of the scale in the second graph? The interval of the scale in the second graph is 2. What is the interval of the scale in the third graph? The interval of the scale in the third graph is 5. What should you remember when writing the scale in the graph? The spacing between the numbers should always be the same. Our lesson purpose is to construct bar graphs using different scales. For today's lesson, you will present data in a bar graph. You will use the same data, but you will create different bar graphs by using different scales. What should you remember when constructing a bar graph? The bars must all be of the same width. The bars must be equally spaced and not touching each other. The scale must be appropriate. It should cover all the data. The numbers along the vertical axis must be written next to the tick marks, not in the spaces between them. Always start the scale at 0. The interval between adjacent numbers must be the same. The graph must have a title, and the axis must be appropriately labeled. Activity Sheet 1. Using different scales in presenting data in a bar graph. May collects bottles for a fundraising activity. The tables shows her collection for a week. Number of bottles collected for a week. Days of the week in the first column, and number of bottles collected in the second column. Monday 15, Tuesday 10, Wednesday 5, Thursday 5, Friday 5. In groups, construct 3 different bar graphs using the provided grade paper. Use the data from the table and the given interval for each graph. Graph A, use interval of 1, skip count by 1s. B, use interval of 2, skip count by 2s. C, use interval of 5, skip count by 5s. After constructing your graphs, answer the following questions. What is each graph about? Do the graphs show the same data? Explain your answer. Do the graphs look the same? Explain your answer. Which graph has tallest bars? Which graph has shortest bars? Which graph has the most appropriate height of bars? What could be a reason why the bars in the graphs look different? Here is expected output for graph A, graph B, graph C. What should you remember when constructing a bar graph? The bars must all be of the same width. The bars must be equally spaced and not touching each other. The scale must be appropriate. It should cover all the data. The numbers along the vertical axis must be written next to the tick marks, not in the spaces between them. Always start the scale at 0. The interval between adjacent numbers must be the same. The graph must have a title, and the axis must be appropriately labeled. Present the data below in a vertical bar graph. Use an interval of 2, skip count by 2 on the scale. Days of the week, number of tickets. Number of tickets sold in a week. Here is the expected answer. For day 3, read and interpret data presented in a bar graph. Show the 3 bar graphs you made yesterday. Start with Graph A. Our lesson purpose is to read and interpret data presented in a bar graph and give the importance of choosing the appropriate scale and interval. What is each graph about? Graphs A, B, and C show the number of battles collected by May for a week. Do the graphs show the same data? Explain your answer. Yes, all the graphs show the same data because they use the same information from the given table. Do the graphs look the same? Explain your answer. No, the graphs look different. The bars in each graph differ in height. Which graph has tallest bars? Graph A has the tallest bars. Which graph has shortest bars? Graph C has the shortest bars. Which graph has the most appropriate height of bars? Graph B has the most appropriate height of bars. What could be a reason why the bars in the graphs look different? The bars in the graphs are different because different scales were used. How would the bars look if the data shown in bar graphs used different scales? The bars would look different depending on the scale used. Which scale resulted in tall bars? The scale with an interval of 1, a smaller interval, makes the bars taller. Which scale resulted in short bars? The scale with an interval of 5, a larger interval, makes the bars shorter. Which scale resulted in the most appropriate height of the bars? The scale with an interval of 2. Does choosing the scale affect the appearance of the graph? Yes, it does. The scale can change how tall or short the bars appear, even when the data is the same. Can the appearance of the graph affect the interpretation of data? Yes, it can. If we only look at the height of the bars and not the scale, we might think that taller bars are always represent greater values. But this is not always true. A bar might look tall but only represent a small value if the graph uses small intervals on the scale. Reading and interpreting data in a bar graph. Answer the following questions using the data presented in graphs A, B, and C of Activity Sheet 1. How many bottles did May collect each day? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Did all the 3 graphs show the same information? Here are the expected answers. On which days did May collect the same number of bottles? By just looking at the bars, how can you tell if the same number of bottles were collected? May collected the same number of bottles on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can tell by looking at the height of the bars. If the bars are the same height, it means the same number of bottles were collected on those days. On which day did May collect the greatest number of bottles? By just looking at the bars, how can you tell which day it is? Why do you think she was able to collect the greatest number of bottles on that day? May collected the greatest number of bottles on Monday. The bar for Monday is the tallest. Probably, she was able to collect the greatest number on Monday because some families did their cleaning over the weekend, resulting in more bottles to collect. How many bottles did May collect for that week? How did you get the answer? May collected 40 bottles for that week. This can be obtained by adding the number of bottles collected each day. 15 plus 10 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 40. Can the same data be presented using different scales? Yes. Would the graph look the same if different scales are used? No. How would the graph look if different scales are used? If the scales are different, a smaller interval shows taller bars, while a greater interval shows shorter bars. Is it important to use the appropriate scale? Yes, because using the right scale makes the graph more accurate and easier to understand. It helps people interpret the data correctly. In reading and interpreting a graph, does the height of the bars give you some information? Yes, the height of each bar shows how many objects are in each category. Bars with the same height represent the same number. The tallest bar shows the greatest number, and the shortest bar shows the least number. What should you do if you need the exact number in the category? You should look at the scale and see which number aligns with the top of the bar. True or false? Write true if the statement is correct and false if the statement is incorrect. In a bar graph, the bars should be equally spaced. Any interval can be appropriate to present data in a bar graph. Given the same data but different intervals, the graph would look the same. We need a scale to know the exact number of objects in each category. The height of the bars in a bar graph shows the number of objects in a category. Here are the expected answers. For day 4, solve problems using data presented in a bar graph. What are the parts of a bar graph? What does each part tell you? The title tells what the graph is about. The horizontal axis is the line that goes from left to right. It shows the categories we are comparing in the graph. The horizontal label refers to the words or names along the horizontal axis. The vertical axis is the line that goes up and down. It shows the values or numbers for each category. The vertical label is the word or phrase written along the vertical axis. It tells us what the numbers mean. The scale is the set of numbers along the vertical axis. These numbers help us understand the height of each bar. The bars in the graph show the data. The height of each bar tells us how many are in each category. What is the graph about? The graph is about the number of learners in Grade 3 NARA. What is missing in the graph? The graph does not have a scale. Let's have activity sheet 3, solving problems involving bar graphs. Maya forgot to write the scale on the graph, but she claims that 1/2 of the learners of Grade 3 NARA are girls. Do you agree with her? Explain your answer. You might think the answer is yes, because the bar for the girls look like half the height of the bar for the boys. Another reason could be that you already assigned numbers or a scale to the graph. But remember, that only shows that the number of girls is half the number of boys, not that half of the learners in Grade 3 NARA are girls. To make this clearer, let's assign a scale to the graph and see what it really shows. With a given scale, you can see that there are 20 boys and 10 girls. The total number of learners in Grade 3 NARA is 30. 20 plus 10 equals 30. 10 is not 1/2 of 30. Another strategy is putting the bars one on top of the other, which represents the whole. Visually, the bar representing the number of girls is not 1/2 of the whole, which represents the whole class. This shows that girls do not make up 1/2 of the class. Activity Sheet 4. Solving problems involving bar graphs 2. Anna and McCoy went to pick guavas. McCoy picked 18 guavas, while Anna picked one half of this number of guavas. How many did Anna pick? Altogether, how many guavas did they pick? Complete the bar graph to show the number of guavas picked by Anna and McCoy. Here is the expected answer. Anna picked 9 guavas. Altogether, Anna and McCoy picked 27 guavas. What must you do when given a problem to solve? First, read and understand the problem. Then plan how to solve the problem. Finally, carry out the plan. A total of 120 children joined the field trip. Each section had the same number of children. Complete the graph to show this. To complete the graph, the learner should do the following. Write the title of the graph, number of children who joined the field trip or children who joined the field trip. Set the scale. The scale should start at 0 and the interval must be 5. Other intervals are also possible, but may not be appropriate for the data. Draw the bars. The bars must be the same height. The top of each bar should align with 40.